So a little background on me. My name is Kathleen Tullie. As I said, I'm the Director of Social Purpose for Reebok International. I also sit on a number of boards kind of in that field. I sit on the World Federation of Sporting Goods Industry Board, the Institute of Medicine's Obesity Roundtable, and a few others. So this was not my background at all. I was actually in corporate finance for 20 years, and I actually had, so in 20 years I spent around the globe, Japan, Scotland, Boston, and I actually had a cancer diagnosis about 10 years ago, so I decided I was going to be a stay-at-home mom, and that stay-at-home stint lasted for about 2 weeks. So no reflection on my kids or my husband. But I came across the book Spark, written by Dr. John Rady, who's a professor of psychiatry at Harvard Medical School. Has anybody read the book? Nope. Does anybody know Dr. John Rady? So he's written 7 different bestsellers, and he talks about the profound impact that exercise has on all of us, that if you exercise for 15 to 20 minutes at 60 to 80% of your heart rate, it has the exact same effect as taking a little Prozac or Ritalin. And I thought to myself, well, this is crazy. Like, the evidence is profound that if kids run around and play for 15 to 20 minutes before school, they're going to do better academically, they're going to be happier, they're going to thrive more. And what parent wouldn't want their kid to be more confident or happy? So I thought, here's our magic pill. We need to kind of reinvent education and go back and allow kids to run around and play before school. So back in 2010, myself and a few other moms went to my kid's principal and said, we have an idea of starting a before-school physical activity program because we know that not only is there an obesity issue in this world, but there's also a mental health crisis in this world. Even most recently, the stats are terrifying. I think teen suicide is up by 70%. And so we asked our principal and our superintendent if we could start a physical activity program at our kids' school with the hope of getting it in our school and maybe some surrounding areas. They said yes. We sent out an email to all the parents saying, if you want to drop your kids off an hour before school, let them run around and play. Evidence shows they'll be happier and healthier. We had 80 kids sign up, which then I thought, what the heck am I going to do with these 80 kids? So I bought a whistle, and I played tag and relay races, and then before you know it, parents and teachers started talking about the profound impact that they were seeing in these kids. They were more focused in school. They were excited to go to school the next day. They had more friends. And then what I call word of mom started to spread, and other towns started to reach out to me asking me for a copy of my curriculum, and I didn't have a copy of a curriculum. I had no background. But that was kind of my aha moment that I thought, we have these natural drugs in our brain. We have all these parents and community members who want to help schools. Why not form a nonprofit? So I emailed Dr. Rady. In his book, there's his email, and it talks about, just contact him. So I emailed him saying, I'm going to form a nonprofit. Would you help, would you advise me? I never thought in a million years I'd hear from him. 20 minutes later, ding, I get an email. Sure, I'll be one of your directors. And so then I knew I was in trouble, and I had to form the nonprofit. And I went to Reebok, who was based in the Boston area, and I asked them for some T-shirts or trinkets. It was a Friday afternoon, and the CEO said, I'll give you 10 minutes to talk about your program. 10 minutes I sat there, I told him about the program, and 10 minutes turned into 2.5 hours, and he said, we believe the sporting goods industry has failed and that they've created a culture of spectators, and we need to reverse that and create a culture of participants, and there's no better way than to start with youth. So come in-house. So anyway, to make a long story kind of short, I came in-house back in 2010 to Reebok, and I am now running the program, which I had hoped would be in maybe the Massachusetts area and the Boston area in a few hundred schools. We're now in 4,000 schools, 4 countries globally. Thank you. And it's a completely free program. So I'm going to quickly go. See, I can talk a lot longer than 10 minutes, but that's okay. After 10 minutes, we can get up and exercise again. But I'm going to go through my slides really quickly and just talk about the physical inactivity epidemic that we're facing in this crisis. Right now, our challenge is that it's the first time in history that our children's generation has a shorter life expectancy than ours, and a lot of that is due to health and wellness. 5.3 million deaths a year are actually attributed to inactivity. So physical inactivity is a problem worldwide, and the World Health Organization just last week came out with a report where it continues to increase, and that right now it's the 4th leading risk factor for global mortality. It's linked directly to non-communicable diseases. In the US alone, physical inactivity is linked to 1 in 10 deaths among US adults. The consequences range everywhere from mental, social, physical. I mean, we see it across the board that if kids sit through school all day, or if we sit in offices all day, we become more depressed. We are not healthy, we're not happy. And then not to mention that it hurts our economy as well, because we're not as productive workers, we're not as healthy, and we're a very sick country. The silver lining is that we know the solution, and it has to start with children. Children have to be active, and it's their human right to play. They were designed to move. We were all designed to move. And meanwhile, with the evolution of the digital age, we've also run into a problem where kids and adults, including even I find myself, sitting in bed checking social media, which is horrible. Like, we're all addicted to our phones now. The good news is that if we can make time for physical activity and take away that screen time, there's a reduction in mental health and physical health issues. But it has to start with our education. Our education system is broken. It has not been changed in the last 70 years, and that's not just in the US, that's overall. Health and wellness is not a priority, and especially in this country where we teach to the test. Everything is about math, science, and English, which if you think about, you would not build a house without a strong foundation. Why are we teaching to our kids without a strong foundation? Kids need to move in order for their brains to actually absorb knowledge and for them to feel confident and happy. So as most of you probably know too, and we've seen this, I just was in London meeting with the World Federation of Sporting Goods, and we were looking at countries around the globe, and physical activity and recess have been taken out of the majority of schools, with the exception of Finland, who is doing so much in this space. But we really need to make a precedence to bring it back, not only on an advocacy, but on a policy level, and also give teachers the resources and the tools that they need to provide physical activity, quality physical activity, and also make the schools accountable for it and have some impact measure. That's the other thing we don't see, is that there's not a lot of programs that actually are sustainable, scalable, and evidence-based. And as I mentioned, the biggest enemy, in my opinion, is the digital age. Teen depression is increasing, and the majority of people are now just addicted to phones. So what happens when that does start to spread, even in the third world country? Movement is going to become an issue there as well. So, we believe at Reebok and at Adidas, who owns Reebok, that sport does have the power to change life, and that play is a human right, and that it has the ability to change us physically, intellectually, emotionally, and socially.
When I wake up every other morning, it's like I'm just going to school, and then on Mondays and certain days when I have box, it's like I have, box is really fun. It's really speechless, because it's not like every other morning. It's a special morning. I'm Isaiah Pena. I'm 11 years old. I go to the Warren Prescott School. I walk to school.
He always comes with a smile. He's one of the first ones there in the morning. I'm there at 7, and he comes shortly after 7:05 or so.
And he had just such exuberance and excitement to be coming.
I feel really excited because when I go to school, I get to hang out with my friends in the morning.
He just enjoys going there, having fun, being with his friends, all of his 18 best friends that he has.
My best friend is Adam. So when I first came to box, that was in 3rd grade, and I was really shy when I first came. When I didn't have box, I felt really like tired and I didn't want to do my work.
He always participated, but he never really raised his hand.
It was already, somewhat of a difficult start.
Waking up early for box is worth it because it really helps you. It wakes you up for school, so when you go in school, you're not all lousy when you're doing your work.
He likes to just have fun before school, run around, be free.
Since 3rd grade, since he started box, he's now more outspoken. He's even more engaged in the science classroom, and he's definitely one of those students that can work with so many different groups.
Isaiah does chorus, and Isaiah's also had some lead roles in our school plays.
No, it feels wonderful. Box makes me feel excited.
I love it because it's a before school program. I get to go to work earlier, and again, I just think it's a good program just for him to get out there before class and kind of open up and be ready for the books, because it's tough being a 5th grader. It's just something to get him energized for the morning.
And now I help a lot of kids, and I'm not shy anymore. Yeah, I feel like I'm a leader.
So thank you. And just my final remark is play really is a human right. And I don't know anybody who can say that a child shouldn't begin their day without play. Thank you.